Hello! Welcome to Pint of a Story with me, Shobit. In this podcast, we bring you pint-sized stories from indie authors such as myself that you are likely not to have read before. Links to where the stories live on the internet will be in the show notes or description, and we do encourage you to click on them and read the stories for yourself. Hope you enjoyed today's story, and if you do, please share it around and subscribe if you like. Tales of grandeur, immoral and pure, greed and secrets, passion and glory. The pulse is rising, the plot's surprising. You captivated, that's the point of the story. Yes, that is the pint of a story, and this week's story is called Help from a Stranger, written by yours truly and first published in July 2016 on shobitthepral.com. Your feedback or comments really do matter, so please leave some. Hope you like this one. Here goes. It wasn't the best time to head for the hills, and his wife urged him to wait. The rains had been heavy the entire month, and there was no saying where he might get stuck, considering they had already reported a couple of landslides recently as well. But he wasn't going to delay his plans. Who was to say when the rains would ease? He could lose the opportunity by then. He traded in herbs that he sourced from a few places in the hills and exported to countries in the west. This was the first time he had a chance to tap into the Southeast Asian market. If he got this right, he could even find trade opportunities in Australasia soon. What he really wanted at present, though, was to assess what quantity of certain herbs he could manage in a month's time. And if he was to ship in a month, now was the time to find out and start preparations. He left early in the morning with a promise to call his wife every 3 hours. They were expecting their second baby in a few months' time. What better way to welcome the expansion in a family than an expansion in the business as well, he thought to himself. As he was driving out of the gate, he looked at his wife and child in the mirror and smiled. If all went to plan, he would start work on a new room in the house when he came back. He called the wife timely as promised, made a stop for lunch, and was at his destination by evening. His contacts gave him reassuring news over the dinner, and he decided to leave for the next town early again in the morning. The sooner he would finish his business, the sooner he would be with his family. The next 3 days were fruitful as well, and save one commodity, he had it all covered. But there was still hope of getting the only one thing remaining on his list. In the last town, one of the traders mentioned a wholesale dealer in a bigger town that was just 3 hours away by road. If anyone can supply you that quantity, it has to be him, they said. He reached there in time for lunch and called up his wife as he waited for his order in a small restaurant. He promised her he would be home for the next evening. After lunch, he headed straight for the wholesaler, but had to wait a few hours to see him in person. As luck would have it, the man confirmed to him that he could deliver the required quantity to the city in 3 weeks' time. He was elated. His trip had paid off. When he returned to his car, he realized that if he took a nap for a few hours, he could actually drive in the night and be home early next morning to surprise his wife. He would take the day off and spend it with his family. He eased back into the reclined seat with a smile and soon dozed off. He overslept and woke up only at the sound of thunder and heavy rain. It was night already and time to leave if he was to make it early next morning. But he decided to wait it out, as driving down the hills at this hour in such heavy rain was out of the question. In his eagerness to be back home at the earliest, he never booked a night stay in the town. and if the rain did not ease, he would have to spend the entire night in the car. After 3 hours of heavy rain, it finally reduced to just a drizzle. He thought if he left now, he could manage to be on wider roads and gentler slopes in a few hours. After that, the rain wouldn't matter. Once on the plains, he would be home in a matter of a couple of hours. Deciding it was the best time to leave, he started the engine and drove on to the road. Only half an hour later, the drizzle changed to rain, but thankfully it wasn't heavy. He negotiated the curves of the road at slow speed and was confident he had made the right decision. As he came around a sharp bend, he could see a light in the road in a distance. On slowing down further, he saw a man holding out a lantern, signaling for him to stop. What could have happened, he thought, and slowed down to a halt. The man approached him and he lowered his window glass. "There is a small bridge ahead," the man said. "It has given way in the middle and has collapsed. You won't be able to see it until it is too late. Even if you stop and don't go over, you'll be on shaky ground by the time you realize you shouldn't have got on it in the first place." "Why, thank you, sir," he said. "Is there another way around? I'm heading for the city and came from the town behind us. I don't have a place to stay there, and if there's another way around, I can avoid spending the night in the car." "Oh, I'm from that town myself," the man said, smiling back. "We have a family-run local newspaper there that caters to news from the hills. The only way to the city is back through that town the other way around. Why don't you head back into town? And on this very road at the other end of it, you will see the Hilltop Lodge. Just knock on the door and tell them Pradhan from the newspaper sent you. They'll make sure you will get a place to sleep." "What about you?" he asked him. "Can I drop you back?" "Oh, no need," the man said. "My car is broken down. Someone is coming to pick me. You carry on back and have a good night." He got back into town thinking his wife was only expecting him by next evening anyway. The person at the lodge welcomed him on learning Mr. Pradhan from the newspaper had sent him. He got a small room with a bed to sleep in. What a wonderful man, he thought. So nice of him to help a complete stranger. When he woke up in the morning, he went downstairs and was offered coffee. Sipping at it, he found the very newspaper Mr. Pradhan had mentioned. He checked it was for the present day. On the front page were headlines about a bridge failure with the name R. Pradhan under it. And at the bottom right of the article was a picture of the very man he saw last night. He smiled and began reading the piece. "The bridge failed and fell apart last night. This is completely unacceptable behavior from authorities. Why do they fail to remember tragedies of the people of the hills? This reporter feels specially moved writing this article as he has personally faced the loss of his father to the same bridge 15 years ago. His father, Mr. K. Pradhan, was also the proprietor and founder of this newspaper." Photograph inset. So, we hope you liked that story enough to tempt you to subscribe. We encourage you to share it with anyone else you can think of that would like to hear our stories as well. But do not forget, it is the writers that make the stories, so please read them for yourself by clicking the link in the description. That'll mean the world to us. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you with our next. In the meantime, remember, if you can't find what you're looking for, create it. Take care.